always say that I don't think the best players in the room will always win the event. I simply believe that the best players in the room have the best odds of winning each event, simply because we all play this game. No matter how good you are, there's always that luck piece involved, and if you don't respect it, you will be disrespected by it. Hey yo, how's it going everyone? I should be here with another very surprising video following my previous one. We won standard CardfightVanguard BCS 25-26 in Toronto. So this is a very big surprise because for those of you who know me in person or follow me on Twitter, this is the one event that I kind of went in without any prep. So yeah, I'd love to go through everything, but you know, it's pretty cool that this happened, and I really can't complain. So yeah, this year there's a little nice thingy instead of a trophy. But I'm just gonna go through the Decklog really quick, and then I'll go through the rounds, and then I'll give specific tips or thoughts and all that after. So the deck is basically the same. You've seen this multiple times at this point. It's just Persona, all the toys that you can play, and I hope you don't mind the proxies because I had to return the deck. So it's basically all the toys you could possibly play. So because toys are good, and toys are made for children. And then of course you have the PGs. I think the Sank is still right because there's a lot of cards in the meta that are either grade 4, triple drive, or has guard restricts. So this is your outs. This is basically our core. There's nothing you should change outside of these, except maybe one walk horse, but I'm still really against that. But that could be up to you. In terms of the triggers, 8 crit. You should be playing effect crits. I just swapped them out because I had to return them again. But the effect crits do matter in some matchups like Prison. You ditch it early. It can go to Soul. You could free, especially if you're going first. If you're going second, maybe it's not that good, but it can come up. And then 3 fronts, 1 royalty, and 4 recent heals. This one's the most up to date. I again didn't really test. I just went Reynaldo's list, and then Reynaldo's list played 4 of these, and this is the one list that has won a BCS twice. So clearly, this is the best list. Don't quote me on that one. Actually, you can, because Reynaldo's so good.
Thank you for the support. I'll see you at the Worlds.
Crazy.
Thanks, Reynaldo. And then the tech slots is what really defines the deck and illustrates the player preference. I think the Resend Heals is a really good tech slot. I know some people are hesitant about it because of Chris Rain and like, oh, Chris Rain doesn't really restand. How does it help you to survive the Divine turn? Because that's the one with the most pressure. I agree, but it does help you with the resending friendship. So I think that guarding the friendship is more important than guarding the first 2 swings, because the first 2 swings, the rear swings, are guaranteed 1 damage only, while the resending friendship could have extra crit pressure. So for example, if you were put to 4, if your opponent's Vanguard Chris swings, it's 2 crit already, so why not put power to Vanguard crit to the friendship, and then the D skill, the next rear guard that gets called out, gets the crit, has natural 2 crit, and then the friendship has 2 crit as well. So in those kind of situations, guarding with the resend heal is definitely more optimal. And of course, whether you want to use it or not, how you want to guard out, really depends on how many crits your opponent's shown. So pay attention to that, please. Pretty please. Twin cast, I think everyone plays twin cast. No real question to this. Tiskar at 1, Avarice at 3, and Cat at 2. Cat at 2 won me a game in Swiss because they saw the one cat. They thought I didn't have the second one. I popped it on turn 3. GG. Avarice Rester is actually not bad. I have to change my mind. I thought the card was not good. But going second, if you don't have Bunny or Block Horse, this is your third 8k grade 1 that you can rush with. At least you can go Van Rear or Rear Van, and then of course the deck thins 1, so going second does help. And the Tiskar is just free. If you had to cut it, you would cut one of these for Tiskar, but I think this is fine. Tiskar is definitely better if you're guarding out. If it's 5k shield anyways, I think it's better to guard with the Tiskar rather than keep guard with something else and then ditch Tiskar to ride up, just because it gives you one more card you're cycling a bit earlier to see what you want to ditch to ride up, if that makes sense. But that's basically it. The deck is pretty self-explanatory. I'm just going to go through the rounds and then some advice if you're keen to listen in. So round 1, I played against Prison. They did hit defensive OT on 6 damage, but I wasn't super aggressive. I played slower, and what that meant was I did hold enough shield to live out their grade 4 turn, and I still won, so that's okay. Round 2, I played second against Katana. I think going second against any of the buddy fight decks is suboptimal, because when they go second, they don't get the 1 draw. But it's fine. By turn 3, they only had like roughly 20 cards in deck, and I knew at that point I could deck them out. They were still really aggressively using the cycle cards, discard, when it's discarded, charge 1, draw 1, and I was happy to see that. At the end of the game, they only had 2 cards left in the deck. They couldn't even twin drive, and then I had PG, and a boatload of triggers to guard out. I'm not going to go through the details because if you know me, you'll know the whole story in person, but essentially I won that game at that point. Round 3 against Heartluru, I went second. I flipped Red OT. It's an instant win button on the Believe You Lost because it's 2 crit, 2 crit. That's pretty OP. Round 4, I went first against Heartluru. This is actually the second place for the event. This is Ryan. They hit Red OT on me, but that's still okay because I had the PGs to live out, and yeah, I won after that. And then round 5 against Prison, I lost this game. The reason why is because I played a super good early game, but they hit double heal and then they hit crit OT on the grade 3 turn, and at that point I only had 1 PG. I guarded it out, I lived, but I couldn't live the turn after. It's just too tough. Round 6 against Weiss Ruger, I won going first. I blanked and whiffed a lot, but at the end of the game, I had to bank on a 2 to pass. My opponent chose to pass on the rear instead of both on Van, and they did hit 2 triggers, but because my last 2 cards were PG, I was able to guard out everything and won that game. So I was very close to losing that game. Shout out to Eat the Gamer, a very strong player from locals as well. And then round 7, I played against Prison. They crit OT me. This time I didn't have a single PG, so I went from 0 to 2 and then 2 to 6. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? But luckily, because the 2 people I lost to both went X1, I ended up being the number 1 X2 in the room. So I ended up placing 17th, safely securing my spot in top 32. In top 32, I went first against Katana. That game I went first, so it was much easier and I won that. Top 16, I went second against Chris Rain. In this game, they showed a lot of crits earlier on, so I knew they didn't have a lot of crit pressure. And then at the end of the game, I sold them out and I won. Top 8 match, I went first against Vergila. I blundered here. I had 2 personas in my hand. I top decked into the order and I was too ecstatic to see the order because it was the 4th one. I played it and then I was like, uh-oh, I forgot to persona. And then immediately they asked no persona, and I was just like trying to poker face my way out of it and said no persona. I still won though because they didn't really have the shield. But yeah, that, you know, sometimes you just gotta play no matter what happens. No take backsies. Top 4, I went first against Heartluru. Blavey, I hit crit OT, so the Blavey went 3 crit swing, 3 crit swing, and then that was basically GG. I did a premium OTK in standard, so good. And then in the finals, I went first against Heartluru again. This was my round 4 opponent, Ryan. So shout out to Ryan again. Again, I got OT'd in this game. On turn 1, what happened was I got 2-laned by their Vanguard. They went Bunny. I took it, I hit a defensive, and then they went Van, and then I didn't really have shield, so I took it, and they flipped crit, so I was at 3 damage. Somehow with the Blavey at 2 crit, 100 million, I had 2 PGs because in my opening hand I kept 1 PG. I grew into 2 more PGs. So my early game was really bad because I was holding 3 PGs. But because I was holding the PGs, I lived the round OT, and I was able to turn the game around without flipping my own OT. So, some final thoughts. So of course, shout out to Reynaldo for the deck list. We played a lot before Vancouver, and it obviously carried over to Toronto. And then shout out to Kevin at Locals. I was preparing this event with him a lot, and they got top 32, which is great. Unfortunately, they couldn't go all the way, even though they're a great player. I always say that I don't think the best players in the room will always win the event. I simply believe that the best players in the room have the best odds of winning each event. Simply because we all play this game, no matter how good you are, there's always that luck piece involved. And if you don't respect it, you will be disrespected by it. And so I think there's a lot of games where my opponent flips OT. I could still manage to clutch it, but when there's extra challenges involved, such as instead of just the OT, it's crit OT on a brand OT or a red OT, that is definitely a lot more challenging to deal with than simply the OT. And so I think there's definitely things to control, but you have to respect that there is definitely some more extreme ends of variance that even the proest and the bestest of players in the room can't handle, and that's just the game. You can only lose so much to win an event. In Swiss, for example, here I lost twice, and that's the most I can lose. And even when I lost these 2 games, it really depended on when I lost and who I lost to. So if that's not luck, I don't know what else to say. Overall, I feel really grateful that I did so well in this event, especially without the prep. I think that the one thing that I did differently that I think people can definitely consider, I don't really want to leak all the sauce, because this is one of the viable decks for Worlds, and possibly one of the decks I will be playing. I think I want to challenge everyone to think outside the box. This one is a bit weird to say and more obvious in premium than in standard, but personally I think in standard it's more about play than the deck. I truly believe that in standard there's a lot that is in your control. Same for your opponent, that's also in your control. At the very least, you don't get grade stuck, which is how I lost several games in premium in the past. And I think there is a fair bit of variance, of course, but there is also enough that you can respect and control as well. I think to succeed in an event, personally, I think there's like 4 main criteria. I think it's time. You do have to put the time into the game. Even if you don't own the cards, proxy them. If you don't want to put in the effort to even print out proxies, that's on you. If you don't want to buy the cards, that's on you. If you think that theory is enough to win games, that's on you. So if you're not taking ownership of that, that's on you. Then next is knowledge. It's a bit different from time. I think knowledge is important because understanding the text and all that doesn't necessarily come with time. There are situations, especially at the regionals, where you're playing so many games that you're bound to see some cards that people tech in that are suboptimal but can work. So that is something you have to respect and understand and recognize. So for example, there is a possibility of 2 cats. And in fact, this is a list that won before. Because they didn't respect the chance, they lost the game. And that's just a knowledge check, whether or not that is true. If you are following the channel, I'm a friend of Reynaldo's, and obviously if you knew that, there is a likelihood that I am playing the exact same list. You can make that conjecture, I guess. All I'm saying is there are knowledge checks inside and outside the game, and if you can't recognize that, then that's another thing you're missing. And the third one is the innovation piece. The innovation piece is how you pilot the deck and how you play the deck and what you tech into the deck as well. There are situations where instead of the usual board with Shark, a Blavey, and Shark, you want to do double Blavey. There are situations where instead of double Blavey, you want to do Bear, even on turn 3. There are situations where you can restand Blavey on turn 3, but you choose to stand the Bear. I'm not going to go into more detail than that, but I'm just saying that there is still some skill expression in the game, and situational awareness definitely plays a part into a player's success or failure. And of course, the last piece is luck. I've said this piece enough today, but obviously there are some things in your control, which is all 3 of the things I mentioned before, but the final piece is luck. Whether you see the right matchups at the right time, whether you're going to the right regional with the right meta, I think there's a lot of player input into this game, and you just have to be in the right room, the right place, the right time, playing the right people with the right deck. a lot of things have to go right, and it went right for me today. So this is not the first time this happened for me. I'm happy to say that this is not the first time that's happened to a lot of my friends. A lot of my friends aren't really in the popular friend group, you know, with a lot of these top players like Pearson or Stephen Lee. We don't really practice with these people, but we were still able to see success because we found our own way, and you know, we recognize what we can control and what we can't, and just play on. So for people that did well, congratulations. I'm really happy that I met a lot of you people. Sometimes some for the first time, some I got to know better, which I really appreciate. You're all very kind for the most part, for practically the most part, you know, like everyone is just really cool here. For people that didn't do well, I hope you take this as a learning experience. Some of it obviously is out of your control, but try to control what you can, and if you do, then you can't even be upset when you get sacked out of it, you know. So that's my take. So thank you so much. Sorry, Shadowverse guys, because I'm dropping that invite. This one's a sponsored one, and I love Vanguard way more than Shadowverse. So Shadowverse, I will try to go to the Grand Showdown for Vanguard. I'll see you at Worlds. Stay tuned for more. Bye bye.